Spirit Talk Live with Scott Allan is for entertainment purposes only.
My dear friend, a wonderfully, wonderfully gifted medium. I've seen him in action. It would blow your minds wide open. He's just incredible.
Patrick from London, you are on the air. Welcome to the show.
I mean, this reading has meant more to me than anything. And I'm so grateful.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Spirit Talk Live. My name is Scott Allan, and I am so happy to be here with all of you today on Wednesday evening. And I look forward to this every single week. I love doing this show with you. So welcome. We have a great guest on tonight. Laurissa Rex is going to be joining us, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her in just a few minutes. But I hope you've all had a great week. We have had some great things here. I was at the Enfield Demon House over the weekend, did an event there in a gallery. And today I was welcomed into the Warren Legacy Foundation. So I'm very excited about that. I'll be working with a great big group of people all over the world to continue on the work of Ed and Lorraine Warren. So I'm very excited about that as well. So, every week I do Notes to the Veil. And sometimes it connects with someone that's right here in the audience that's watching. Sometimes it connects with someone who joins a little later in the show, or someone who may watch the show a week later on or listen to it on Spotify or YouTube. But I like to do it every week. Last week it connected to someone that was right here. So I really enjoy doing this, and I'm going to share it with you. If it resonates with you, please say hello. Please mention it, and we'll have a little chat. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Share it. Hello, Tammy. How are you? Good to see you. I'm going to read this for you, and I hope that it will make sense to you, but I will post it on Facebook if we don't make a connection here this evening. So I'd love to be able to share that with you. Let me see. I have it here. So what I do is I typically will go in and I'll meditate for just a little bit, and it's almost like automatic writing. It just comes out on the paper instead of through the words. So today, I want to start out by saying I believe that there is a J name connected with this gentleman that I was picking up on. So I'll start with that. I am a man approximately 28 years old. I was in a motorcycle accident after sliding on wet leaves. I was right near the hospital, but that could not save me because this was my time. My mother is undergoing treatment for skin cancer, but she will be okay. Someone connected to this gentleman works in a preschool. Some of the children are special needs. And I'm sorry that I never had a chance to say goodbye to this person. Cherish the memories of those summer days by the lake, and please say hello to my grandma. This gentleman's not very old, and his grandmother anyway, is still living. To who this resonates with, enjoy your new car. You deserve it. And please keep an eye out for the younger man with the long blonde hair. He needs some love. And embrace the reunion with the person that you haven't seen in a while. So appreciate that. And, this comes out. I hope it makes sense to somebody here tonight while we're here on the show so we can talk about it. But if not, I will post it in the chat a little later on after the show is over. And then people can come on and claim it if they like. So I want to talk a little bit about our guest today. Laurissa is CEO of Third Eye Productions, The Haunted Mafia, and she's founder of Palmerton Area Research Alliance. She's a retired U.S. Army officer and a special ops soldier, and she's working on a book. The book has not been published yet, but the book talks about the Hell House effect, and I really hope that I'll get a chance to chat with her about that as well. She's a psychic medium, of course, as most of our guests are, and she also collaborates with the Warren Legacy Foundation. So I'm excited to talk with her about that as well. Something you'll find out tonight too is she has not done a lot of gallery readings, and we had met back in January and said that we should do one together because she wanted to learn, and I do them, and I think it's sometimes nice to have the support with someone when you're standing on the stage next to them in front of all these people, helping people show up. So we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. Laurissa, oh, Larissa's there. She just typed in the chat. Tammy Medium is here. Tammy Christine. Tammy Lee is here. Hey, Tammy, how are you? Nancy, nice to see you, my friend. And of course, Allan, Larissa's husband, is also in the chat. Hi, Allan. Good to see you as well. I'm going to bring Larissa out because I want to chat with her. Larissa, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. It's like you're sitting in the dark where you are.
I know. I tried to lighten it up.
No, you look good. Your face, you can see everything. It's just, yeah, it looks good. That's good. How you been?
I've been good. How are you doing? Busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Tom, how are you? Hello, my glorious weirdos. I don't know how glorious I am. Weird, perhaps, but not necessarily glorious. I don't know that word.
Oh, hi, everybody. There's my girl, Sarah. Hey, Tammy.
Oh, yeah, there she is. Sarah Grimm. Hello. Excited to watch.
Allan, Tom.
Allan, your husband. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Tom. So talk to me a little bit. You did a gallery recently. You don't typically do readings or galleries, right? I know you don't do a lot of personal readings.
I will do personal readings. I don't normally charge for them. If the mood strikes me, I will do
when
them.
you're there. Yeah.
But I did it on a whim at Hell House. We had an event on April 13th, and I did a gallery reading, and it really was amazing. I will say it was amazing, but it was short-lived. I was very drained. The location itself drains me. So that's
Where is Hell
difficult.
House? Where is the Hell House?
So Hell House is actually also known as the Waldorf Estate of Fear, which is a haunted attraction, but it's also an 180-year-old hotel.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and it's also the set of the movie franchise Hell House. So that's why we kind of renamed it Hell House, but it's really Waldorf. Yeah. So we do tours out of there. And I just, on a whim, I asked the guests, I was like, would you guys mind if I did a gallery reading? And there was maybe 10 of them, 12 maybe at most. Yep. And plus our team and Angie, the owner. And I asked if they would be okay with it, and they were fine. And I actually read every single person.
Really?
Yeah. And it was interesting. And I was frustrated with the first couple people that I read because, I don't know if you can relate to this, but when you read somebody and they don't confirm something, and then after you're done reading, you find out that it's the person standing next to them that you were reading, and it was correct. And we laughed about it though afterwards. I actually was picking up on military. I was picking up on heart problems. I was picking up on all these things. And it was actually the guy's son standing next to him. So I said to him, if you ever stand there in a gallery reading again and somebody is doing that, feel free to say, hey, that's me. Because the medium can get flustered. I said I got very flustered because I felt like I wasn't, connecting, and it ended up being you. And they were like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you." So, and then that affects your self-esteem, especially since it was my first time. But it was, that was the only thing. And then the other thing that really got me was there was there were these two ladies there, and I could see that they had just recently lost the mother and the mother and the grandmother. And I could see her standing behind the shoulder of the daughter. And she was in all black. She didn't want to present herself at all. She did not want to communicate, but I knew who she was. But they were so upset, and it was so intense. And I just said, I said, is it okay if I say what I see? And then I said what I saw and what I felt. And then I said, I don't want to upset you, so I'll speak to you afterwards if you'd like. So there was that. And you could see that they were going to cry, and I'm very sensitive. So I didn't like that part of it.
I get it. I get that. Just a little advice that I find works for me. So before I even start, I usually go through a whole list of things, so please raise your hand. I need to know if anything makes sense to you, even if you're not sure, even if somebody else has already raised their hand, still raise your hand. I also tell them, I need to hear your voice. You can't sit there and nod your head or go, you know what I mean? I need to hear your voice. That's really important. So I've got a whole list of things, and I share all of that with them because it really does help the session go better if you set the expectations up ahead of time. I'm wondering why I keep hitting the keyboard. That's why those names keep popping up all over the place. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. That's what I do. And I had, I was doing a gallery on Saturday night myself, and this woman claimed the man that was coming through. And I mentioned a couple of things. I remember, like, yep, I get that. Then I said, oh, I don't know what the connection is. There's a church. It wasn't that churchy, but everyone. Well, and then there's a school bus. I don't understand the school bus. And then I went on to a couple of other things that, she sort of got, and I'm thinking, this just doesn't mean anything to me, except no one else was raising their hand. So I'm sitting there out there kind of like floundering. And then finally, this other girl says, I think you're with me. And she went and she got absolutely everything. I said, what's with it's like you're wearing his ring. She pulls it out of her shirt. I got it on a neck chain. She says, I drive a school bus for a church. I mean, it was like one thing after another. And it was like, oh, thank God, it all makes sense. But you really got to like, almost like they're afraid to raise their hands. I don't know why.
Well,
Sometimes
that
they're nervous.
I do appreciate that. That'll help me in the future to tell them to, or ask them to do that. Cause
You know what you need. You know what I mean? You know what you need. They don't know. They've never done it before. So,
yeah.
and everybody
Well,
here, oh, go ahead. Say,
I was going to ask you, like, what do you do? I find that I'm very sensitive. Like, I
Mhm.
cry. If somebody cries, I can't control it at all. What do you do when there was one girl, when I tell you, I could feel, like, I could feel that if I said anything to her, she was going to cry. And I looked at her and I said, I'm going to read you outside. And she just went like this. And I took her outside and read her, and I thought she was gonna explode with emotion. What do you do in those cases?
So it's funny. I think that well, first of all, it's okay to acknowledge how you feel, because a lot of these things will set off the emotion, especially if you're very empathic. They'll set off the emotion, and you can acknowledge, yeah, I feel like I'm going to cry. But you have to think, if you went to, let's just use a therapist as an example. If you went to a therapist and you're telling her your life story, and she's crying, and you're there consoling her, it's not supposed to work that way. It's supposed to be the other way around. And I feel like that's how it is with us too. I probably told you, I was a funeral director for like 35 years. There was no way I could have sat there and cried with my people. I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have done my job. So I think it's about acknowledging how you feel, and then just asking them up there, okay, help me out here. I can't cry with these people. I've acknowledged it. I know how I feel. Now take it away from me. And oftentimes they'll listen to you. I think that it's just comes with experience and comes with practice, But one thing I always do say to people too, and this may set it up for you as well. One of the other things I say is, look, if I don't always know what I get. I don't know why I'm getting it. I don't know the context behind it. So if I'm reading you and I start going down a road that feels uncomfortable because you think it's going in a certain direction, I may not know that. Just say to me, look, can we talk about that later? Can I see you after the show? That's it. And then I shut it right down. That way they also have the ability to not sit there and panic that something's going to come up that they don't want to talk about, because we don't often know. So, it's maybe not a great answer, but I think if you ask them, if you talk to them, and I don't mean the client, I mean the spirits, ask them, please take it away from me. Please take it away from me. I acknowledge it.
Okay.
I feel it. But see, you're clairsentient. And so that is how you get your information. Clairsentient can be physical, but it can also be emotional.
It's
So
very
sometimes, sometimes I feel like, man, I feel really sad, or sometimes I feel
emotional.
like I'm sorry, or I'm like different. There's different things. There's different, but sometimes it's physical. Like, oh man, I feel
Mhm.
something like right here. What's going on right here?
I get a lot of pain too. Yes, it's very intense. And I know me and you talked about, you said just recently you can do an hour to an hour and a half. I can only take it for 20 minutes. I get sick.
Mm.
I I think we should talk more about this stuff
We
offline.
should. And
Yeah.
I think that really, Laurissa, it's experience, it's practice.
Mhm.
When I first started doing this stuff, I was exhausted after a half hour. I mean, like completely and totally drained. I don't really get like that anymore. Now, Karen that I work with, she's really heavy on the emotions and she'll get kind of teary,
Mm.
but she will feel it like she's the next morning she's still like drained. And I tend not to get like that. Maybe it's because of the experience with the field I was in. I don't really get like that. I don't feel that kind of pain and intensity because I've learned to shut it off. But I can totally see why someone who's just starting would get caught up in that, especially if you're very empathic and you have that clear sentient. Do you see yourself as clear cognizant or now? Do you know what clear cognizant is? Right?
Oh, yeah,
You know
absolutely.
things, yeah. And
Yeah.
clairvoyance, where you see things, you get
Yeah.
like those little flashes of things in front. Yeah,
I have all of the clairs.
yeah,
All of them.
yeah. I read that you have all of the clairs. And when
Mhm.
you are clairaudient, how does that appear to you?
I hear everything.
Now, where do you hear it? In your head or like off? Like
I hear it distant. I hear it in every way. In every way.
that's wild. That's
Yep.
wild.
And
See, I'm not.
I also see it in every way too. I can see it here. I can see it in front. I can see them in front of me. I'll
Wow.
actually tell you, I can see ripples in the environment. I can see the environment changing, and I can see them manifest.
Now that's wild. That's very unusual. I think it's very unusual. I don't know
It
a lot of
is.
mediums that get it. That's what they call objective evidence. It's like outside the body. Subjective is inside. Most of us get it subjectively. It's mind's eye. It's inner ear.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
It
there have
just
been times.
started.
It just started. Yeah. See, I'm not clairaudient at all. There have been times I've heard like my name called or something outside. Um, very, very, very rare. But the inner ear thing where they say it's like another voice, I don't get that. I don't get
It's
that at all.
I'll tell you, it's not what sometimes it's great. I won't lie. Sometimes it's great, but most of the time it is scary for me. And a lot of people will kind of I've been like mocked for it, like, oh, or not believed. But
Really?
yeah, but I'll tell you because I'm afraid of it, because I'm afraid, but I don't care. I think that it's a healthy fear. If I can hear and see something and not defend myself against it, yeah, I'm afraid of that.
Well, I think you also have to learn to set some boundaries up. You probably don't have a whole lot of protection set up around you. And when I first started doing this, it was crazy. I mean, it was like all the time, all over the place. It was scary. It was scary. And then I learned to shut it down and set up barriers so they can't come within, 3 feet. And now I don't walk through the grocery store like reading everybody. It just isn't
Mm.
there. I don't do that. So maybe
I
that's what you
have
need to work on.
I do need to work on it, and my friend Sarah like has helped me with that a little bit. A lot of people actually have given me tidbits of information to help me with that. And then I have in some weird way I just know how to help myself. I don't know where that comes from. But there are times that I have just not been strong enough to help myself. Like there are places I've been in where I've been bombarded and I just can't, like I have to get out of it. There
Yeah.
are locations where it's just too intense and places I won't go into. So,
And it's so funny you say that because I just had this conversation with Chris this afternoon. And I don't pick up on stuff in locations unless I'm supposed to. So when I go to a location and I'm supposed to be there figuring out what's there, it comes to me. But otherwise I could go in and not necessarily figure it out. So Tammy's saying, Laurissa, I think the guide work will help you tremendously and protection methods. Absolutely. And she's experienced all of that. I think probably we all have to a certain
mhm,
degree. What's Sarah saying here? I tell her this all the time, protection.
mhm,
Yeah, it's boundaries. It's boundaries. They're not allowed to get close. I don't want
mhm,
these spirits that I don't know, especially if I'm in a place that might be haunted and you don't know what the heck's there. It's a little
mhm.
different when you're sitting with people you know. Call anytime as we learn from each other. And yes, our intuition and guides usually help you to work through these things. Tammy's great. I think,
I love her. Yeah.
yeah, she is great. She's very good too. She's very experienced. So
I watch her. I watch her a lot, and I don't. I think stalk is the wrong word, Tammy, but I watch you on the Warren page and all that. So
through the
I do pay
shrubs
attention. Yeah.
in the living room window, you know, no,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah. So, I think it really is a question of that. It's a question of just being able to practice. And you know what, too? We talked about mediumship circles. Mediumship circles can help because they're no stress. Like everybody in there is doing exactly the same thing. Exactly. They're all in the same boat. They all worry about not getting noticed or not getting information. I mean, we all do it. I mean, I get up in front of like 100 people and I'm like, oh man, don't go for coffee because like I'm stuck here if you don't show up. And then they do. Then you sit there and you wait. You're looking around to see if anybody's got their arm up.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly one will start to creep up. It's nerve-wracking. You have no
Yeah.
idea. You know you're getting something, but you really want to make sure that the person that's sitting in front of you is getting it too. And there are days that you'll have 10s and there are days you'll have 6s. It's just how it is.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely not. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, seriously. Have you ever gone into, or for anybody watching too, I'm just curious, have you ever gone into a place and gotten absolutely nothing? Like I joke around sometimes and I'll say my psychic is broken. Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah. So when you say go into a place, you mean like a haunted place?
Yeah, like
it
it's
happens
haunted. Yeah.
all the time.
Okay.
But see, here's the thing. If I'm not supposed to be getting anything, I don't.
Okay.
If I go to someone's, like I have friends that do gallery work, I'll go and sit in the audience. I get nothing. Like I'll sit there and think, geez, I wonder if I can pick up what they're. I get nothing.
Okay.
And it's rare, but sometimes I sit with someone that wants a reading with me, and I've got nothing. And it could be because they're blocked or they're in grief or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons. Mostly,
Okay.
I will when I'm supposed to work, they show up, but when I'm not supposed to work, it doesn't happen. So yeah, haunted places. And I feel like I didn't even know if I could do it, if I could go into a haunted place and pick up on stuff until I did. But I did it because I was supposed to do it, not because I was just in there hanging out, Yeah. So Sarah's saying I need to switch mine on too. It's hard and it's hard to explain. But I get it, Sarah. I mean, I know exactly what that is. I mean, I go through this whole process of opening myself up before I do a reading. And this is really funny too. So there are certain things like when I sit in this chair, they know I'm working. When they sit in that chair, they know I'm working. When I will always use I have a Saint Benedictine cross, and I'm not like uber duper religious, but I do have it, and I wear it whenever I do readings. So they know when I have that on, I'm working. And I use the same cologne every time I do readings. It's the same one. So I spray this on when that's on. So you add this, and I'm sitting here and everything. It's all part of it. It's all part of like, oh, okay, he's going to do readings now, It's just those sorts of things can make a huge difference. Let's see. What is Tammy saying? Then the other, and you go to a place like a store and see and hear more at a haunted. Oh, well, yeah, but see, I don't. I mean, I go to a store and I shop. I'm so turned off at that point. You know what I mean? Here he is. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hopping on all the way from Colombia. Good to see the
Wow,
internet's
right?
working for you over there. Yeah. Yeah. And Adam. Hi, Adam. How you doing, my friend? Good to see
Hi.
you. Yeah. So I feel like that though, Laurissa. I think practice is huge and learning to control. And that's, and for anybody that's out here, if you are interested in hopping on a development circle, I'm starting one in June. I'd love to have you come on. It's a 4-week program. We're going to explore different things, different clairs, and work a little with our clairsentience and our clairvoyance and all of these sorts of things just to try. But they're not stressful because nobody's paid for a reading. Nobody's sitting there thinking, geez, I paid $50 for this. You better make it work. It doesn't work that way. Let's see. What is Dylan saying here?
Hi, Dylan.
I've always been a gifted feeler and I know when the energy is off and walk into a place that has potential energy. It automatically just hits you whether you feel the atmosphere or not. Yeah, and you know what, Dylan? I think too, the more you do this kind of work, like I'm saying with the paranormal, I think the more you do this, the more accustomed to that feeling of energy you get. So I know people who really aren't mediums. They don't say they're mediums, but they still feel it. Yeah, Raven says that sounds like a lot of fun. Join us, Raven. You can
Hi,
go on my
Raven.
website. Anybody that's interested, just go on my website. And I wouldn't say so. Sarah's saying too, it's I skipped. Hey, Laurissa, ever been to Maine? Oh, that's Adam. Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Sarah says, awesome, you're doing courses. I don't do a lot of courses, Sarah, but I used to run a mediumship circle, and I'm doing it again because I think that it's helpful. It's helpful for me too, and everybody else. We get together on Monday night. Let's see. Hey,
Hi,
Kenneth,
Dr.
nice to see
Ken.
you. Nice to see you. Yeah, we got a full group in here tonight. This is great. And I think we should, at some point, we'll take some calls. You can join in the chat if you want to have a one card pull, because I love these. I love this deck. And this is a friendly group. There's no stress here. So if something comes through, it does. If it doesn't, that's okay too. It's a time to practice it. If you don't feel up to that, that's fine too. But our phone number is at the bottom, 775-264-SPIRIT or 775-264-7747. Feel free to give us a call if you like. You can chat, ask us a question. Want to be on the show? Feel free. So, yeah, I would suggest that. And it doesn't have to be with me. It could be with anybody. Practice circles are just really, really, really helpful.
So Sarah and I were doing a practice circle. But we were doing more like psychometry and
Absolutely.
remote viewing, stuff like that. But we weren't really doing protection and stuff that I'm sure you would be offering. So I
think first off, I would want to talk about how to set boundaries and protect yourself, because it's a beginner's class. It's not like John Edwards isn't showing up here to come to my development circle.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's learning how to set boundaries and protections, and then maybe in another circle, in an advanced circle, we could talk about psychometry and all that kind of stuff. But I think learning to just protect yourself and to feel, I always say that in order to know what's coming through, you have to know what you're not, because it's so subtle sometimes. Is that my belly that hurts, or is it their belly that hurts? You have to know you in order to know them. So it's being aware of your body, aware of your senses and your feelings.
We were jumping right in, Scott. we were passing. We were going to the advanced course.
No, but heck, that's all right though. Was just the two of you, or you were in a larger circle?
We were in a larger circle. We had 3 other ladies with us.
Did you?
At
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think it's great, and I'd love to do that too. I'd love to. I don't do remote viewing, although I'd love to learn it. I don't know.
Yeah, we were doing. So I do psychometry. I do remote viewing. I do automatic writing.
Nice.
Yeah, I do all that stuff, but the basics I don't do. So
and you just never felt comfortable because it was sort of live, and you know what I mean, an in person kind of thing, or sometimes that's normal.
Nobody really. I don't come from a background of my mother wasn't psychic. My father wasn't psychic. I actually don't know where this gift comes from. I think it comes from my grandmother on my dad's side, and that bloodline, but we weren't close. So I had nobody guiding me.
Yeah.
I was born this way. I lived my whole life pretty much teaching myself and just knowing stuff and not knowing how I knew it. So, I just I wing it.
Yeah, but that was me. Well, it was me until I figured it out. Hey, let's take a call. We got somebody on the line. Let's see. Adam from Bangor, you're on the show. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Boston Medium?
Ooh, you're soft. Let me just turn it. Okay, there you go. Just say again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. There you go. At the volume.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
There he is.
Sounds
Boston
like
Medium Scott Allan. How are you, brother?
How are you, Adam? Having never talked to you, had no idea what your voice sounds
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Only through the text, through the chat.
I want to talk to you and Laurissa of the Haunted Media. This is pretty neat to have an online call like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I
Good-
love it.
good setup.
I love bringing people on, and sometimes we do readings on the air and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So you had a question for Laurissa?
Well, what I got for you is, well, I guess it's for both of you. Maybe I don't talk about this much. I kind of do on my show, as you know. But for the most part, I recently moved from Southern Maine, Portland, Maine area, or Orchard Beach, or whatever, and I moved up north by Bangor. I'm actually in another town. Well, long story short, the house that I bought the lady off of, she was here, right? And she was abused from her husband, and her husband cheated on her, and she left everything here: washer, dryer, pickles in the fridge, the whole nine. So I've been here for almost 2 years, and I feel like she's left behind a spirit, even though she didn't die. Is it possible? I haven't really asked anybody this, but is it possible to leave behind something like that, like an energy? Because I almost feel depressed and sad at times because she was here and whoa. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It's so funny because I think that energy can place an imprint on things, and maybe it's not a spirit. Maybe it's just the energy of her emotions and the energy of what happened in that house. And, you've been to a haunted location, right? And you can record, and sometimes you hear like you're talking about things that happened 100 years ago. And,
right.
You don't know. You know what I mean? Are they really there? Probably not. It could be just the energy replaying itself. So why not? Why might that not happen? If there was a lot of
on an odd side note, though, the house next door, the boyfriend killed the 5-month-old step baby about 4 years ago. There was a murder. Yeah, he's in jail in Maine for the rest of his life. So that kind of happened within 100 feet. So I don't know if that ties in. It's kind of a weird Stephen King area anyway, which is weird. But then you throw in the real life stuff with the Wendigo, who's not far from me. There's some crazy stuff here in Maine, which is why I asked her if she's ever been to Maine. She said she has. But Scott, have you ever been to Maine? I know you're from Boston area, but
yeah, I've been up to Maine. I'm doing an event in Augusta on June 7th. I'm not sure how far that is from you. I don't have a sense of the geography up there in terms of where. But I am
not even an hour. I might have to make that.
Yeah, June 7th. We're up at Merkaba Soul in Augusta doing a gathering up there. Yeah, it's Friday night. But I do, and I've done Parafest Maine. I've been up there. Yeah. So
that's right, Vassalboro. Oh, well, if I can get a chance, I'll get up there, buy you dinner. I just wanted to call the show and get your opinion on that. Because like you said, not necessarily anybody died here, but maybe her misery left an imprint that's like a ghostly figure in a way. Maybe. I don't know.
I feel like there is a spirit of a woman in your house. I don't think it's that woman, though. I pick up.
My mom passed away. My mom passed away 4 years ago. I took it really hard. I ended up getting her car, and I got hit in the head-on collision. I died for 38 seconds. Oh. I had the paddle marks in my chest where they brought me back. And I ended up being homeless during COVID. I lived in an abandoned RV and back from a flea market. I lived a crappy life. I'm kind of turning a new leaf now. I own my home. I own 2 cars. I'm a booking agent, right? I'm a podcast host. I'm making waves. I just met Donnie Green yesterday. Took a ride in the Pet Cemetery truck that was in the film, and they're my 8. So things turning a new leaf. I went from suicidal to like, holy cow. So, but living here has brought me back down to an extent, if that makes sense. But I feel like my mom helps me fight it. But at the same time, that girl left a lot here. So it's mixed. It's good and bad. I'm not totally depressed.
And I'm going to say something else here too. And I don't know, people may agree or disagree with this, but I do feel like sometimes our own energy can, it's almost like if there's a little bit of something, you send a little something into it, it just keeps going like this and like this. And the more we dwell on it and think about it and worry about it and focus on it, it gives it energy and grows and grows. So, I think that may be something too, not to say that there isn't anything there. Laurissa says she feels like there's someone there. There could be. Do you know the history of the house before that woman?
Not so much. Not a lot. It's kind of crazy up here in this little tiny. It's actually a former township. We don't even have a blinking light. It takes me about 45 minutes to get to my first red light where I live. And that's no kidding. There's not a lot out here. There's no Walmarts for miles till I get to Bangor. It's really low key Maine. There's about 1,300 people in this town. I could name drop it, but people would come find me tomorrow because there's not that many people. But I'm 25 minutes from Bangor, about, give or take, in some areas. So, but I try to keep a good, you know me, I'm a good spirit, and I try to keep a good head on things, and I love the people in my life. So I try to fight it. But there's sometimes I just wake up and I want to cry. Sometimes I do, and I don't know what that is. Could be myself with everything I've been through, but I think a lot of it stems from what she left behind, because she was crying when I bought it off her. She goes, I love this place, but I can't be here. She left the couch, washer, dryer, cups in the dishwasher, pickles in the fridge. She left like it was haunted. I swear to God.
But I think
I've never seen anything like that. So
the energy can stick to things,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The energy can
Definitely.
stick to things. And it may not necessarily be a quote unquote haunting. It could just be the energy of what's been going on there, you know? So, but thank you, Adam.
All right.
I'm so glad
you guys are amazing.
called.
I don't want to take your whole show. Yeah, I don't want to take it. I'm going to have you on my show soon. Laurissa, I'd love to have you on. And you know I'm going to have you on, Scott, and I'm a fan of both of you. So
sounds good, Adam. Thanks.
I'll meet you in Connecticut.
All right.
And have a good night.
Thanks for calling in.
Good
Take
luck.
care. Bye-bye. Yeah, so I think that can happen. I think that the energy can just sort of, you know, just kind of stick with it. I mean, we see it all the time. You know, we see it all the time. Chris says, let's see here. Chris says, I agree with Scott. Many cultures do energetic cleanings of new homes. So, yeah, I mean, there you go. There you have it. And he would know. Chris McKinnell, for who you don't know, is Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson. So he knows what he's talking about. So it's nice that he's here joining us in the chat. So anybody who would like a little reading or one card pull, feel free to give us a call or type in the chat. Adam says you're both awesome. And Reiki and Sage, Nancy saying Reiki and Sage. So yeah. You know, I don't know if he's tried that. I didn't ask him if he has saged the house or not, but you could do that. I think it's all intention though, too. You know, I really do. I think it's all intention. So do you have plans to do another gallery or another reading, or was that just sort of impromptu? It just sort of happened.
I wanted to give it a shot, and no, I'm going to do some more readings. Yeah, I'm going to do some more readings. I have, what is it, May? I have another one scheduled in, not July, August. One scheduled in August. Psychic Showdown at Clifton.
Oh yeah.
And and it's going to be me, and then there's two other psychics, and that's going to be exhausting. Yeah,
Joe, right? Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that'll be fun. What is a psychic showdown? What does that mean? Like, what do you do?
It's the name is just to be clever, but it's supposed to be it's 3 hours of psychics. So we're gonna have Bianca. I don't know if you know Bianca.
Okay. I don't know who she is. I know of her. Yeah.
So Bianca will read for an hour. Irene Akalois.
Oh yeah. Irene
will read for an hour, and then I will read for an hour. And
cool.
Joe will give a lecture on a talk on the Warren case files.
Fantastic.
And then we will investigate. So it's going to be an intense evening, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and there's lots of space in there. You got the theater and everything. I think it's great. I think you'll have a good time. And then you have that's in August. Is there anything else after that besides the one in wherever
we
that is?
We have our event.
Yeah, and that's it. But you have other stuff too, right? Don't you have Wilson Castle and you've got other stuff?
I have so much. Oh my God. So I have
you got a ton of stuff going on.
I do. So coming up on May 18th, we have the coal mine. There's a haunted coal mine here, which is amazing. So we're going to go to a haunted coal mine. It's our third time going there. I love this coal mine. So we'll be doing that. There's a gallery reading, a remote gallery reading with Catherine Sorilos, all the way from Greece. She's amazing.
Yeah. Catherine.
I love her. Okay. And then that's May. June, we've got Bianca at the Valerie Hill Vineyard, which is, Valerie Hill's amazing too.
Is that in Pennsylvania? Where's that?
No, that's in Virginia.
Virginia. Wow, you're all over the place.
I am. I'm all over the place. And then in July, we're up at Black Swan Inn with again with Catherine. No, not Catherine. with Bianca and with Dave Childers. And then and then August we have the showdown. And then August we also have Greene County Poor Farm. We also have, what else do we have in August? Madison Seminary.
I love Madison Seminary.
I know.
That is amazing place.
I know. September, we have Indiana State. We have USS Salem. We have Wilson Castle.
Yeah.
We have Old Paulding Jail with you.
Old Paulding Jail and Joe Frankie.
Joe Frankie. And oh, by the way, Our Haunted Lives is going to be with us at everything. So like, amazing.
Cool.
And then October, we have the coal mine again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, October's filled with stuff too. November, we have Fort Mifflin. We have Mangus Mills, Kim's Crypt.
Wow.
I have something else I can't remember. I have so much stuff I cannot remember everything.
It's crazy. Really, you are. It's amazing. I didn't know you had that much. I knew you had some stuff. And you and I are both going to be in Connecticut at the Connecticut Paracon, which is fun. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing yet, but we're on the guest list, which I think is great. So that's going to be in July, the end of July.
Yes. Are you going to also be at the other one?
Which one? Salem?
Salem.
No. Oh, Salem in the fall? You mean in the fall?
We're going to do.
I don't know. So I was going to do Salem last year, and I was going to read at Salem. I had a gallery event booked, but then Salem says, no, you can't do any kind of readings unless you're licensed by the Senate. And I said, what's the point of me going? I don't. That's what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll talk to Tom about that and see what he thinks, but I don't know.
Yeah. All over the place.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at White Hill Manor. Are you going to be at White Hill?
No. When's that?
May 11th.
I'd been to White Hill, but no. This year, May 11th, like coming
May
up.
May 11th, they have White Hill Paracon.
Oh, okay. Maybe next year. I'm so busy from now to about July. It's like bing, 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 one thing after another. It's crazy.
I know we're both. I know it's insane. Our schedules are crazy.
It is. I mean, I'm going to be I'm at Haunted Hillview Manor in Newcastle.
Yeah.
And then the next week I'm in Augusta, Maine, and then the next week I'm back in Pennsylvania. I mean, I'm like all over the place, Yep.
And then on top of that, so on top of our Paracon and event schedules, then we have the filming schedules that we have. And then I'm sure you have family stuff. My kid graduates, has prom, and turns 18 in May.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I know.
It's crazy. I'll be in Pennsylvania for my son's 11th birthday, and I know I'm going to be in the doghouse for that. I don't know. I forget. Chris says, I'm just looking at Chris's text here. There's nothing wrong with cleansing your home on a regular basis. You should also cleanse your home of clutter and try to keep things more positive. That can help tremendously in hauntings or in places that just have somber atmospheres. I think that's great. I think it's great. Yeah, and I've heard that before too. Yeah. And then let's see. Enfield Demon House. Hello, Jay. How are you? Good to see you. Or Elka. I'm not sure who that is. Jay and Elka from the Enfield Demon House. And Sarah says your schedule scares her.
I know. It scares me.
I know. I don't know how you do it. It's crazy. It's crazy how it's just insane.
And then I have the book too. I don't know.
Oh, the one that you're writing.
I'm writing too, but I think the one is on the back burner right now. In 2025, I'm just going to take a nap. I'm not doing anything else.
Seriously. I have my book coming out. It's finally done. It's with the editor. I've been doing it literally. It's been about 4 years because, you start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. And finally, I gave it to the editor last summer. And, we've been kind of adding things in. Well, I think you need this because, this doesn't make sense. So, we've been adding it in and changing, but I think we're just about done. I finished the last chapter, waiting for her to get me some information and then send it off to the publisher. I can't wait.
So how long is it with the editor?
hopefully not that much longer. I think we're just near the end. I have someone that's going to do a forward for me, and I want to send him the manuscript so that he can take a look at it before. So I'm waiting for her to finish her little edits, and if she has any questions, just to finalize. But I really do think we're done with
So
it.
how long? But like, how long has it been sitting with the editor?
Oh, since the fall, since the summer. I think I said spring. I don't think it was spring. I think it was probably the summer. Yeah,
So that's a long time.
a
I'm trying to gauge
long
how
time.
long. Oh my
I
God.
went through a period of time where it was like I have to just kind of, it was Christmas. It was, I had a bunch of stuff going on. I just need to slow down a little bit because I couldn't get to the stuff that she was telling me. Okay, I think you need this, this, and this, or can you explain that to me? And I just couldn't get to it. So I finally have. I've got her back all the information, and I think hopefully it'll go out this year. I'm really hoping to have it out this year. I just want it done now. Excited to see it
Yeah.
in print. Yeah.
Where is it going to be?
What publisher?
Yeah, like Amazon
No.
and
It's being sent to Balboa Press, which is through Hay House. So, it should be in Barnes and Noble, and I think it'll be also in Amazon, but Barnes and Noble and all the other stores and bookstores and things like that. So
what's it called?
it's called A Leap of Faith. And the name has changed, a number of times, but I think that's what it ends up being. And it is the story of me growing up psychic without knowing I was growing up psychic. How I think it started with my grandmother, and is a little bit of her story, into the funeral business, and how I dealt with it going into the funeral business and being there for 35 years, and some of the little synchronicities that would happen off and on. And then the opening up, which was really almost like a ghost story. It was kind of scary. And to here we are, having a chat with you. Yeah.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. Nancy says that I can attest to, what's she say? I can attest to the man name changes on that book. Yeah, it's true. Many name changes. Yeah, it's true. I have. And because, something sounds right, and then you think, no, I don't like that. Then you change it to something else. But I really feel like that's where I'm at now. I like that. I like the idea of it. So yeah, I just want to get it. I just want to get it out there now so I can see it in the bookstore,
It's exciting. It's
It is
exciting.
exciting. It is exciting. And it started because people would say to me, you really ought to write this stuff down.
Yeah.
As it was happening to me, you should write it down because you won't remember. And I started to write it down, and then what is it? What is he saying here? Oh, me too, all the way to Pennsylvania trying to figure it out. What? The name of my book? We never talked about that. What are you talking about? I don't know what he's talking about. But yeah, it's it'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting. As I sit back and look at it, I like it, I like the way it feels, I like the way it flows, and it's got a nice story to it, on top of the fact that, it's my awakening. It's what it really is. It's my awakening. And that was the name of the book, The Awakening, And then I said, well, everybody does an awakening. So I changed it to Living to Serve the Dead, which I thought was appropriate based on what I did before and what I do now. And then it was going to be Grieving Hearts and Guiding Spirits. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, but whatever. I just like, I sort of took the leap of faith because I didn't for so long. I pushed it away. And then I finally did, I finally took the leap of faith, and here we are. So my life is so different than it was 10, 15 years ago. Totally.
Oh, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy, isn't it? I have a feeling for you. Like, I think for me too, it came from my grandmother. I have a feeling for you, it came from somebody. I think, my grandmother never called herself a psychic. She never called herself a medium. She was extremely Catholic, and none of this would have entered into her imagination. But there were things that I talk about in the book that happened, and things that she told me, and things, that she, I'll just give you an example. As a little girl, she saw an apparition at the foot of her bed that she thought was Jesus. That was what she interpreted as Jesus. She was a little girl. She talked about this till the day she died. And the night she saw the apparition, the house caught fire, and that bedroom that she saw it in, where she was sleeping, the floor caved in. And so, I never really thought about it until later in life, and I thought, geez, maybe there's something to that. Maybe that's what that was, because I don't know too many other people that see apparitions in the foot of their bed. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I don't think so. So I don't know. I don't know.
I have my grandmother as well was Italian. Well, not that yours was, but Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
On my mother's side. And
Yeah.
there was no inclination towards that on my mom's side. On my dad's side, though, they were my dad's mom was a carny. They were carnies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And her mother, I guess her mother was carny.
Mm-hmm.
She was Catholic, and I didn't know them well, and it wasn't until I was an adult that I really got to know them at all, but it was so brief that the stories I got, it's just stories. I got stories about her mother, and I really didn't know her too well, and then she died. So I don't know anything about them.
I don't know much about my father's family either, to be honest with you. There were so many of them, and my grandparents were so sick. My father was one of the younger ones, so they were already so old by the time I recognized them. My mom's family I knew very, very well, and they weren't Italian; they were Portuguese, but same thing. Very Catholic,
Yeah.
and they all had mustaches. It doesn't matter, all the women, so it doesn't matter really. But they, but they would have never, like, that would have not entered into their imagination, except her godmother she used to tell me her godmother was a psychic and used to talk about her, that she had this gift. I think she did too. I do.
I'll tell you something strange about I apologize. I thought I disabled my my notifications, and I don't know how to get them off of my
You're good. You're good.
dashboard here. But there is something strange about my dad's family. I always thought they were cursed.
Your
Always.
dad's family. Wow.
I always thought they were cursed. They always lost people young. My dad and all of them are dead. His sister was dead. My aunt died at 45 suddenly. She just collapsed and died. My uncle Tommy, his brother, died in his early 40s. My dad, he killed himself. My grandfather was dead early. My grandmother died homeless. Like they died tragic and early. My cousin, who was an only child, she died in her sleep on Halloween at 30 years old. Like really, really tragic and scary and sad stuff. And I always thought that it was a blood, like a curse.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I get it, Terrible.
I don't know. I always thought that they had some weird stuff going on. And I do think that whatever I have does come from them. But I don't know.
But you have no way of tracing it, because you didn't know them well enough. But it wouldn't surprise me. I do feel like it comes from somewhere.
No, it's definitely on that side. Definitely. Wow. But I don't know. We never talked about it growing up, so I was always just out there in the wind.
Well, I remember when I told my mother, I was older, and she didn't doubt it, but she didn't understand it. Like, why? Like, how now? Why now? And, in hindsight, I don't think it was now. I think it was years ago. I spent years looking for an answer as to what this was, because it wasn't what I thought it was supposed to look like. If I was a medium, I'm thinking like the movie Ghost, I'm not thinking this. And I thought, well, maybe I'm a little psychic, but because, there's a lot of these synchronicities and things that were happening to me. And then, I kept hoping somebody would tell me. My mom and I went, 30 years ago, we went and saw Sylvia Brown. Remember Sylvia Brown?
Yes.
Yeah. We went to see her. She came to Boston, and John Holland from this area had opened up for her. I don't know if you know him. He's a pretty well-known medium in this area. And then she came in, and somehow she called on me. Wow. And she said, you're psychic, right? You can do this. I said, get out of here. I mean, I told my mother, she's nuts. There's no there's no way. There's no way. But I remember that very, very clearly. And there's a friend of mine who's a medium, and I had ran into him one day, and he was talking about mediumship, and I didn't know him that well at the time. And I said to him, I said, I know I'm not psychic, but tell me what you think and what you see and how you feel things, because there's something weird going on with me. I just don't know what it was. And he said, well, why do you think you're not psychic? I said, I don't know, because I'm old now, and I'm older, and I should have, should been seeing people as children. He says, no, not necessarily. And again, he didn't tell me, oh yeah, you're definitely psychic. You definitely are. And I think you should go talk to this person. That's what I was hoping somebody would say to me. I just felt lost. But then it ramped up to a point where I thought I had some kind of an attachment or something. I was so afraid. It was terrible. It was crazy. It was no, it was really crazy. For someone that was, somewhat skeptical to begin with and never had any experience with this, it was nuts. I mean, they were talking to me through the radio.
Wow.
And I started recording it because I thought, well, if somebody else can hear this, at least I can rule out mental illness. I mean, first I was thought like I was nuts. And then I said, okay, I'm not nuts. I must be possessed. I don't know what this is. There's something not right. Once I learned to control it, it all stopped.
Yeah.
It all stopped. Yeah. I'll have to play you some recordings when I talk to you sometime in person. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
absolutely crazy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, how about your son? Does he have any of these?
I think so. I tell you a little story. We had gone out with some friends. They wanted to go. This friend of mine is a what do you call it? Director of historical museum here in Massachusetts. And we had gone out to a cemetery where some of the slaves are buried, and there was some witches buried there, and the kids, because they have a daughter, they needed to use the restroom. So we went back to the historical museum, which is haunted. And my son, Nicholas, is sitting there and he says, Dad, something's touching my leg. I'm like, no, you're fine. You're fine. He says, no, there's something touching my leg. I said, well, just come sit over here. Something just said my name, Dad. I'm like, Jesus. I mean, what is wrong with this kid? I'm thinking there's something wrong with this kid. So I took out a recorder, and I'm getting nothing because I'm like closed up. And I took out a recorder and I said, all right, if you're here, say something, And of course I said, okay, see, nothing's here. And that's it. And we left. I got home and I listened to it, and you could hear a voice on the recorder said, hey, the kid's here. Give him a slap.
What?
And I said, that's it. I'm done. What's worse is, and this is really bad, this historical museum used to be a church rectory. And it was where the Boston Father Porter, the pedophile priest, was stationed many, many years ago. And it just completely creeped me out. I said, that's it. He's never going back to that building again. Never. And we went on the USS Salem once too. And everybody's having a great time. And he's freaked out. He's latched onto me like this. He says, I don't want to be around here. Oh, no, I don't want to go down this hallway. I don't want to go down this hallway. He says, Dad, I can't stand it here. I feel like something, like I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm like, what is wrong with you? We were in the surgical ward where they did the anesthesia.
Oh my God.
Right outside the door. And I'm like, this kid is like, got it. So I don't really take him to places because he's sensitive. And sometimes most of the time he's okay, as long as we're not in a place like that. But sometimes he'll get it, and he'll hear his name called. And so I'm just waiting, I'm waiting.
Yeah. He's young too.
He's young. He's 10,
10, about to be 11. Yeah.
Yeah, he's about to be 11. And there were other kids there who were younger than him who were just not even affected. He's so affected by it. It's crazy. So I think they just know that. And with the kids there, it was like off the charts. It was off the charts that night, the activity. So I think that there's something that we'll have to talk about at some point. But right now, he's just terrified. He wants nothing to do with it.
Yeah. My daughters are psychic. Both of them. My oldest she's going to be 18 next month, and she was born. They both were born that way, but she's used to it at this point. The younger one, she's so different than I was. I was a chicken. I was afraid of I still am. But because I am who I am, and I'm different than my mom. My mom didn't understand it. I hear my daughter in her room at night. She'll tell them, "Go bother my mom. Leave me
Wow.
alone. Go bother my mom." Yeah. It's amazing. When my younger one, she's 7, she'll be 8 next month. When my younger one was 4 or 3 years old, my dad killed himself. And I didn't have a relationship with my dad. I did. It was just tumultuous. And I ended up with his ashes. Nobody wanted them. So Allan put them in the laundry room. And I did not want to know where they were. I didn't want to touch them. I wanted nothing to do with them. Just because it was so painful. It was so sad. And I was grief stricken. So Allan got the ashes and he hid them, in the laundry room of all places. So here, my daughter, who's 3.5 at the time, she's downstairs and she turned 4, and she said to me, "Grandpa doesn't want to be in the laundry room anymore."
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And the older one at the time was, I think 13 or 14. And she told me her room was in the basement where the laundry room was. And she told me that she kept hearing walking up and down the steps. So Allan took the ashes and he put them in the living room above a hutch where they would be facing out, where everybody could see them, and the footsteps stopped.
Wow.
So, yeah. But we were floored. Like when Marissa said that, we were floored.
I would think.
So,
and it's funny. My son, when he was that age, like 5, 6, he used to talk about these 2 people, Janice and Mike, that would come and talk to him. They had names, and then he'd come. He says, I was in school today, and Janice and Mike stopped in. I'm like, what? I said, what did you say? He says, I told them I'm in school. They have to leave, and they left. Well, now if you ask, he says, well, that was just an imaginary friend. But I think he just doesn't like any of that stuff, so he tunes it out. But he was very matter of fact about it back then. And with all the other stuff I see going on with him, I'm just,
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. The stuff that just, and we understand. They're lucky that we understand, right?
Yeah. But, it's funny. We went out to eat the other day in a restaurant in New Hampshire that is haunted, supposedly. And I just happened to mention that on the way up. He says, Dad, this isn't my thing, right? Do we have to go to this restaurant? Can we go somewhere else? Can we go to all? I said, look, there's going to be a zillion people there. We're just gonna go in and have dinner. And we walk in and he's like grabbed onto me like this,
Yeah.
It's terrified of it. Absolutely terrified of it.
The older one is just like, whatever. She doesn't even care anymore.
I'm curious to see what happens when he gets older, And I don't think for him, he's ready to do this stuff, or ready to think about it. He's just 10,
Yeah. Well, everything's scary now, because they're little.
It is. Tell me, Laurissa, because we're getting near the end of the show here. How can people find out about you have a website, I'm assuming, right? That where you can find out about your events.
Yeah. It's right under my name.
Yep.
Or they can go to thehauntedmafia.com.
Okay. What's the difference between the Third Eye Productions and Haunted Mafia?
So real quick, the Haunted Mafia is a partnership between me and Dave Giuliano. And we just do bigger venues like Indiana State, Fort Mifflin. They're just larger venues where we need more staff. So we partner with other companies.
Okay.
That's all. Nice.
Beautiful. So check it out, Third Eye Productions -pa.com. Is it -pa.com-pa/events?
Oh, it's supposed to say .com. Yes.
Just .com. Third Eye Productions -pa.com. That's all right. I'm sure you can get wherever you need to go from there. And then the hauntedmafia.com. Check out the events. They're all over the place. I mean, you're Virginia and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Vermont. So there's something for everybody over here on the East Coast. Check it out. Give her a look. And we didn't do a single reading tonight, but that's okay because I think the conversation was great. I love it. Some nights they're like in the chat and they're, but I think the conversation was so good they just listened. So thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I loved having you on. Hang on. We're going to close the show in just a second here. Just do me a favor and hang on and don't go anywhere. And I'll chat with you a little bit after. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Spirit Talk Live. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us today for Spirit Talk Live with Scott Allan. Please remember to subscribe to Spirit Talk Live on YouTube and share on all your social media channels.